We're gonna take a look at the majors first of all. So give a brief overview as well for all the RMR events. We've got all the RMR events up here, so we're pretty much good to go. Overall, we got it. You got Europe. We're gonna go do Asia first, actually, as well. Asia is probably the first region we're gonna do because most of the games that we cast will be probably over a lot earlier compared to the other regions. So we got Mongols versus Twisted Minds. The Mongols are the favorites in this to get a spot, and you got Rare Atom v Vertex, and then you got Greyhound v Tyler, and you got Eruption v Invictus. The first 2 days is basically the upper finals, and then the elimination rounds begin the next day. As you can see here, Friday we've got a few BO3s between in Australian teams. I'll put myself on some of the BO3s for the OC RMRs and see how it goes basically as well. So basically for the Friday RMRs, be mostly on the Australians, and in between maps we go to the BO1s in Europe. Based on Saturday, probably the same deal, and Sunday will be the same deal as well. As you guys can see here, all the finals ready to go, and that's gonna be pretty much it. Sunday, because it starts really really early on Sunday basically as well. Overall, the two teams I do expect to go through are basically I expect Greyhound to go through, and I expect Mongols to go through. I expect Mongols to get this and Greyhound to get this. There's two spots into the major, as you can see here, the Challenger major as well. We got two qualifiers this time, or two qualified from each region. So we got two from Oceania, two from Asia, two from China, and two from the Middle East. So you got Invictus. Invictus, I think they tried to qualify last time, but they were eliminated very early on. And I think they were last time they came in. I think they were under GJ Hall, and they got, I think they went 0-2 and were eliminated right off the bat, basically as well. And I think it was Greyhound beat Tylo to get into the major, as IHC secured that thing as well. Now you also got Twisted Minds, which is like Loba's team with Black Eagle, Doc, Spawn, KD's, stuff like that as well. So basically, a lot of Middle Eastern teams. Yeah, I think this is a Iraqi trio, and then it's got Loba and Doc to fulfill the rules to enter the Middle East. And you got Eruption, which is this new up and coming team in the Mongolian region. So basically, Fury 5K, Cooler, Shinobi, Yami, and Dobu. Obviously, Dobu and Coolers have been in the scene for quite a bit, but this team is actually making a lot of waves in the Mongolian region. And last but not least, we got Tyler's coached by Letney. They got Dan Keeg, Freeman, Attacker, Summer, and a new player, Risto. And then you got Vertex, the second AU team, being Malta, Brace, Hazard, PZ, and Addict. I'm going to say Rooster did not participate, and it could have been a close BO3 between Vertex and Rooster for this final spot. And then we get the winners of the China qualifier being Rare Atom, I believe Advent, Kazu, Jam Young, Moziard, Mercury, and Kami is the coach. You guys know these guys all well. And these guys are quite scary to play against. Kaze, the All-Part, Jam Young's an absolute talent of a rifler, and Advent, the IGL. And next up, we got the Mongols, which is Haztekka's been added in for Score, who left. And I gotta say, with Haztekka, I gotta say it's gonna be a big replacement for Score, because Score, one of the mechanically best players in the Mongolian region, but they still got Blitz and Techno as well. They got Bartek as the IGL, and also got aggressive Orpa in Annihilation. Last but not least is Greyhound. Greyhound don't have a coach at the moment, or maybe they do have a coach, not terribly too sure. But we got Siko, Liaz, Alistair, Ince, and Vexai, and I'm going to say since the last tournament that I win, Greyhound are looking up and up currently at the moment, which is really good to see. Now, as I said before, I expect Mongols and Greyhound to qualify, most likely. Like I say, Rare Atom. Basically, the worst part is that the three teams I expect to qualify as well around that second position is going to be Tyloo and Rare Atom. I don't think Eruption, Twisted Minds, and Victors have much of a chance, to be honest, and neither does Vertex. I think Vertex, to be honest, a bit overrated. Currently, they're placing on the HLTV rankings compared to the rest of the competitors in the tournament. What I'm meaning by that is that Vertex, even though they're ranked 73, I don't believe that there's much difference between Vertex and Victors, Twisted Minds, and Eruption as well. And I think basically Tyloo is better than Vertex as well. Now, it's going to be a real big competition between Rare Atom, Tyler, and Greyhound. I feel Greyhound's going to win it in the end. It's going to be absolutely cracking consolidation and lower finals between these teams and these BO3s, and they're probably going to be decided by a couple of rounds effectively as well. Same with the Mongols in the BO3, should be decided by a couple of rounds. I've got to say the double elimination bracket is actually really beneficial for the team that qualifies to the upper finals, given the case that they can basically rest up until Sunday, which is like Friday off and Saturday off, if they qualify, for here, basically a 2-day break, essentially, which is pretty huge, where you can prac and scrim, basically, and also can watch the other matchups as well without any pressure of you're going to be eliminated next if you don't make it through, basically. But that's pretty much for Asia. I think the players to watch out for is going to be definitely Vexite and Ints from Greyhound. You also got Techno and Blitz from Mongols. Also watch out for Jamyoung and Mosier and also Kaze as well. Got to watch out for Addict and PZ. Basically, if Addict has a great tournament here, basically he's going to basically burst out. I got to say Malta as well and Hazard. I think this team, if they get everything right, they can really come together and do some absolute damage in this qualifier. Another one is obviously Freeman, Dan King, and Attacker. Very good players as well. Coolest, Shinobi, and Dobu are definitely players to watch out here. I think Black Eagle is massively to watch out here as well. I'd say for this one, it'll be definitely Davkos and Mesdel are players that you want to look at here as well. As also as Face Crack as well has been on Force before. And that's pretty much it for the Asian region. So essentially with the Asian region, that's pretty much it. Pretty much it with the teams and my thoughts about it as well. Next up, we're going to get into Europe RMR A. So basically, this will be playing early. So you can see here, you got VP, Mouse, Fnatic, Navi, FaZe, Sprout, Bad News Eagles, Bait, Viperio, Into the Breach, One Win, Apex, Gamer Legion, OG, Falcons, and Saw. Now, this basically, this BO3, obviously, this RMR has obviously 16 teams in it. Basically, top 4. So if you go 3-0, maybe 3-1, if you get the highest seed and win a BO3, you go to Legends. And if you don't, you go to challenges as well. There's also a lot challenges last chance qualifier. So basically, you get 2 and 3. The top, I think, 3 rated teams basically get a last chance qualifier spot, and they can get into challenges basically as well. So Europe has got a lot of, a lot of challenges spots basically. Also, the challenges last chance between 6 teams that verse each other in a BO3, and I believe, looking here as well, I believe they verse each other, and essentially the winners will go through. The losers will be eliminated. Then the next winners will play each other for a 3rd place, and then the next one will play for the 1st place. And basically, there's only one, spot, as you can see here. Basically, the highest seed will only have to play 1 BO3, while the lower seeds will have to play 3 BO3s to make it, basically. Last but not least, looking at the teams at the moment, we can see FaZe and Na'Vi should make it through pretty simply. Like I say, same with VP and Mouse. The big ifs and buts is most definitely going to be OG, given the fact that basically without Nexa, OG haven't really won too much recently. They might have a bit of trouble here as well. Fnatic is going through a bit of a rough patch as well. I mean, they got pretty close to qualifying for IM Dallas. Bad News Eagles, we haven't seen much from them at all, so this is going to be an out there one, I'm going to say, like with Bad News Eagles. I'm not sure what we're going to expect from them as well. I think they're going to be a wild card in this and probably will qualify. Saw, don't expect them to qualify at all. Gamer Legion have been very, very good. Like, very, very good with Acorn in that lineup as well. And they qualified very simply in that close qualifier as well. Will we see much of them? I'm not terribly too sure. We got One Win as well with Travis. One Win has been slowly climbing up the ranks. I don't think they'll make it this major, though. I think this team in particular, like this lot here, I'd say these 6 are going to make it. But it's going to be very, very, very difficult for, One Win to make it. Now, you got Apex as well. I don't think Apex are going to make it, unfortunately. At the roster they've got a bit of quality here and there, but I don't think it's a bit of quality to take care of the top 8 teams. Maybe they get into a last chance. Not too sure. Bait, similar thing here. Bait's probably one of the out of place teams with Viperio as well, where they're in advance basically, and they're versing teams in the top tier 1 and tier 2 scene. Then we got Sprout. Like I say, for a team that's going to upset here, like any team's going to upset, it's most likely going to be Sprout with Azza as the IGL. So they may be able to take it to sniper spot as well. You got Zella, you got Lonks, you got Cypher, you got Stare. You got a lot of young players that have been playing extremely well as riflers in here as well. Into the Breach, I don't see them going very far. Even with Roland, Crucial, and Thomas, I don't see them getting very far. I feel like they'll probably get 2 and 3, or maybe 1 and 3. Falcons, it's a hard one for Falcons with Kenny S, MPK, Body, a lot of the old guard, but I think they may go 0 and 3. I mean, this RMR bracket in A is very, 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 very strong. I mean, the the teams they've got, their invites because of the major. There's about 5 of them that have got through quite convincingly, and even when they lose kind of closely to the top tier 1 teams. So I can't imagine how many of these teams having much difficulties with some of these newer teams coming in the block as well. Now, for one in particular, for going 0 and 3 is definitely Saw. I haven't seen really much good things coming out of Saw recently, and I feel like it's going to go for another 0-3 run at this point. I mean, last time it was qualified, but was stopped by VP in the end. But I don't see them getting very, very far this time around. Next up, we got the Group B. That'll be on a bit later. And as you can see here with Group B, you got G2, who ironically enough had to qualify by the close qualifying. They qualified very easily compared to last time, where basically it was higgledy-piggledy and they got eliminated very early on by Game of Legion. But at least this time around, it was a bit easier for them. They got a 3-0 and just cruise through. And like I say, for G2, that's exactly what they should be doing, okay? And the fact they got eliminated previously is kindly their own fault. You got Heroic, Cloud9, Vitality, Ents, all getting their Rio major spot, as well as Spirit. And I believe B got it as well as Nip. Now you can see here, you know, Astralis coming in, Eternal Fire coming in, you got 9 coming in, you got Monty, Aurora, 500, Iron Nation. I'm going to say these bottom 4 teams, Monty, Aurora, 500, Iron Nation, are most likely going to be eliminated, okay? I do not see them getting very, very far at all, okay? Because basically the qualities of these teams here are way more than all of these qualities of these teams here, okay? Like, basically, even as you got Boros, Waro, I think that Boros missing out was a bit of a joke. SDY, stuff like that, and Monty, I just do not think they're going to be matching any of these top 12 teams whatsoever. That includes Astralis as well. I know Buzz is underperforming, but I feel Astralis are actually good enough to qualify, essentially. Now, these 12 teams is going to be mainly where these spots are going to be coming from. So there's going to be top 8 spots in the last chance to the final spot. Overall, expect G2 to qualify, Cloud9 to qualify, Heroic to qualify, Vitality to qualify, Ents to qualify, and I'd say Force to qualify. They're playing very well. Spirit to qualify, and it's going to be between these 5 teams on that last spot. Okay, it's going to be absolutely crazy as well, because 9 have got an outside chance. 9 have been playing very, very well recently, and have been really matching it up against top teams. I mean, Fnatic as well. They played a very, very good matchup, and they can only get better as it goes on. Nip, of course, they've put in Hedrick now as well, and they've got to see if Hedrick is going to be the missing piece that they have. You got Eternal Fire, you got Xanteras. I gotta say, this team in particular have got the pieces, have got the players to go and do great things. It's just they never performed at the right time. Now with Big as well, they're going for a bit of a changing process with Crimbo and Hyped being promoted to the roster as well. I think it's more Hyped actually, and they've dropped Sirison, so Hyped's having a big shoes to fill basically as well. And also Astralis, obviously, are getting Device back. But the main issue is Buzz in particular. How well is Buzz going to perform in the majors compared to everyone else? Now, with G2, Heroic, Cloud9, Vitality, Ents, and Force, Spirit, I don't really have many issues with. I feel like they are good enough. But looking at Iron Nation, 500, Aura, Monty, I don't see much of a chance of them getting through. Okay, I think these are going to be the 0-3 and 1-3 teams, basically, at this point. And I know I'm being really dismissive and stuff like that, but even though the rank's pretty close to some of these teams, like when you put them up against tier 1 and tier 2 teams, like a tier 2, they're just going to fall apart. And someone may say, oh, they've played so many tournaments and stuff like that, did this, and that's why the ranking's up. Well, that's the point. They've only been playing tier 2 opposition, haven't been playing these tier 1 opposition teams to really test the mettle. Last but not least is the Americas RMR, which is probably the most interesting RMR, given the fact that there's very few NA teams, okay? There's a lot of South American teams, but there's very few NA teams. And I believe with the NA qualifiers, there is Liquid, Complexity. I'm trying to think of all the other NA teams. There's also Evil Geniuses who are replacing Detonate, Nouns, and I believe it's Your. And the rest of them are all South American teams, okay? Now, teams I expect to qualify, of course, the Americans have lost 1 spot due to the fact that I think it was like only 1 American team made it to the major playoffs, which is Furia. So they lost a spot, and basically the Americans, or not the Americans, but the EU gained a spot because of the results. Now, overall, with these teams coming up here, I expect Liquid, even though despite their slump in form to qualify, Furia, same deal here. Pain will 100% qualify. Now, the problem is the rest of them, okay? So you got Imperial. Imperial, had a big ending towards their Blast tournament. Will they be able to repeat that? You got MIBR performing quite well as well, even despite getting eliminated early on in the Blast Showdown. You got Complexity as well. Can they repeat the same form that they had previously before the last 2 tournaments? You got EG, but I don't feel like EG are going to go anywhere. I think EG are pretty much 0-3. Their rating here is very, very, I'm going to be dismissing completely. I feel like they're overrated in that area. I don't think they're going to be able to cruise through here. Pain is a definite tick. Furia is a tick. Liquid's a tick. It's going to be competition between Furia, Complexity, MRBR, and Imperial. And it's going to be main competition between those four teams for those last three spots. Also, you can probably add in, like I say, probably could add in. I would add in Team 1, to be honest. You could add in Fluxo as well. Fluxo are out there team. But like I say, overall, the other teams I'm looking at the moment are pretty much making up the numbers. If I'm going to say, it's going to be competition between mainly these 8 teams, minus, and I'm going to say EG's on the outside at best, with Liquid, Furia, and Pain most likely going in. And it's going to be whoever's in the best form out of these 4 teams to really qualify for the NA RMR. The main reason why I say that is that basically, other than, I mean, you can say this about Furia as well. Other than Pain and Imperial, none of these American teams are really playing in form at the moment. I mean, Pain's in some of the greatest form that I've had in quite a while, and I think that rank 15 is really, really, really underrating their performance in the last few tournaments, and I feel like this lineup is only going to go up as it goes along. Who's going to get the legend stage though? What I reckon? I reckon Pain will get a legend stage. Okay, I think Pain will qualify directly to legends. Liquid and Furia will be in a challenger stage as well, which will be a big shock for them. And last but not least, I feel like Complexity will qualify and MRBR will qualify. I don't think Imperial or EG or Zero Zero Nation will qualify. I know it's like backing all favorites, but there's like reasons for it as well. Like with Imperial, they have to rely heavily on a fallen masterclass to qualify to the next round, and also Zero Zero Nation that they'll rely on coldzera to get out of ESL Pro League and get into the playoffs barely, and they were so close to being eliminated by Rooster. And EG, I gotta say, this lineup hasn't been clicking before, and I don't know why it'll start clicking now. And I don't see much of a future for it, to be completely honest. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it from the discussion side of the RMRs. I expect, by the way, for the major, I do expect the EU team to win the major. I don't think there's going to be a American team or a Asia team to win that major, to be honest, because I feel like the the Asia and American teams are just not strong enough compared to the European counterparts. I mean, basically, I know we had last time we had Furia in the semifinals, but realistically, Furia will just they